Moshpit Passion, you know, for the passion of music.
Herzlich willkommen hier bei Moshpit Passion auf YouTube. Wie ihr sehen könnt, bin ich heute nicht alleine hier. Neben mir der liebe Joakim von Sabaton. Schön, dich hier zu haben. Wir haben uns ja schon mal vor 2 Jahren getroffen. Und ja, ich würde jetzt so ein bisschen überschwenken ins Englische, daher nicht wundern. So, Joakim, we met us already 2.5 years ago, also in Düsseldorf. Yeah. And I started that interview with one of the questions which I really like when it comes to movies. And I asked you back then if you know the movie The White Ribbon.
The White Ribbon?
Yeah. And you said no, and after that we were talking about that, and you put out your smartphone, you said, oh, White Ribbon, thank you very much for this, because it's some kind of prequel of the First World War. It's more like how you get a glimpse of the people back then, about their thinking, about their anger and frustration, and how it was to catch their attention with ideology, for instance, and something like that. Now, I don't know if you saw the movie.
I haven't seen it yet. It's in my... I have a list, like 200 books and movies. I still haven't caught up with it, sorry.
So definitely one of best movies ever made, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's from Austria. It's... How old is it? 13 years or so, but it's very interesting. Like
any idea where I can get it? Sort of. Is it available anywhere streaming in Scandinavia?
Oh, Scandinavia. Oh, I have to check that. I have to check that where it can be streamed. I don't know if Netflix or Amazon. Okay. I don't want to drop the big names here. But
one of the streaming services.
One of the streaming services, I guess. But what I really liked, or at least I want to talk about, is especially when it comes to the term war, and when you're doing research, you read also many records about this term. And how would you define this? Not Wikipedia. How would you define the term war? What did you learn, and how did this, when it comes to your art, let me say, build your own view on this term war? How would you say or define that?
Thanks for an easy opening, man. Let's go back to the White Ribbon thing. Okay. Wow. Okay, yeah. So, anyone watching, enjoy me trying to tangle myself into and out of this one. Actually, I have never thought about it that deeply, in a sense. But of course, doing what we do, doing research, you reflect on these things. And it is mentally, for me, a lot different what I'm researching. I think I might have told you 2.5 years ago, because we did the Great War then. It was a dark place to research. It sort of... I didn't go depressive, I'm not going to say that, but it puts a blanket on things somehow, you know? Dampener, a mood dampener. A little bit less so, I think, on this one, even though it's about the First World War. But I think I've sort of gotten numb and used to it in a way. But it's a very, very dark conflict. So I think the definition of war, that would also depend on the era that the war is being fought.
Yeah.
I mean, are we talking about the 30-year war, which is, you know, people have this idea that, oh, war was more honest before, or, you know, wasn't as bad. Like, fuck no, it was worse, you know. Look at what they did there with Scorched, what they did to families. They burned whole villages, slaughtered everyone, raped and plundered. Are we talking about the Napoleonic era then, or even ancient war? Are we talking about, well, World War I? I don't know, it feels very dark because it's sort of, in a way, that defines one aspect of war for me. The darkness, the hellish conditions. Also the turn, because the early days of World War I, we see, well, this is more technical, but we see remnants almost from the Napoleonic era of waging war. And quickly how it turns into a industrialized machine of death, sort of. Then into modern warfare almost. Yeah. We start to see towards the end of the war, we start to see, you know, early hints, or not only hints, sometimes developments that we still use on the battlefield today. So I guess what is war to me, or what defines it, I guess I would have to say that totally depends on which mindset. I mean, which war am I mentally in? Because really dark World War I, and I had this period between these albums where I was really into the spy games of the Cold War, which we're not talking about the same vibe at all.
Yeah.
We're talking about more excitement, mystery, you know, all of these things. Still, you know, couldn't be called war. I mean, obviously there were proxy wars during that time, but yeah, I think it will be different for everyone, and especially different on what war we're thinking of, because I would think totally different about the samurai era.
It's very interesting what you are saying, which leads me also to my next question about war and looking in which time frame which war happened. Because my opinion is that if I look now, the current state of us and our world, I don't want to go so much into detail what is going on since
we're moving into politics, people, almost.
But I see a lot of war on the internet between family members, between band members, and there's so much stuff going on about this whole virus which is going on, like government laws, or about if you should get a booster or something like that. And for you as a band who's uniting a lot of people, do you have maybe some kind of statement or like, hey, people, listen, we are all on a concert together in one room. We are one family. We are here for the same reason. Don't divide us. Don't divide yourself under, like I said, like, how can I say it? The fan base, they shouldn't divide themselves. They should be unite to go to a concert, to have a nice evening, heavy metal party.
I guess that's what every band wants. One of the reasons, I mean, we're controversial as it is, you know, enough, you know, singing about the military history. We have always avoided any political and religious commentary. For that reason, we're already controversial enough. And also, I think it's a statement in itself, and I think it's refreshing. I don't want to tell people what to eat, what to vote for. I think it is important to respect people of different opinion, even if you think that opinion is totally wrong. And it's that lack of respect from all sides that created that situation we are in right now. So in that sense, I don't want to have anything to do with any of those... well, I don't want to put myself in that situation. I don't want to put the band under the line of fire as well. Because also, here's the thing, we all in the band think about different things. But there's one thing we have really in common is that, like, well, let's agree to disagree. That's totally okay. And it's totally okay to have arguments. It's totally okay to be almost angry with each other. But that doesn't mean you should hate each other. That doesn't mean you have to punch the other person. And sometimes people are requesting from us, well, how could you sing about that? I'm like, why not? You know, how could you go there and play because of that and that government, or what those did? It's like none of the people who came to our concert were any part of that decision. Not choosing not to go somewhere based on those reasons, that would be a statement. And we don't do those kind of statements. I mean, if there's one thing we make statements for, it would be free speech, because we use that a lot.
But what you said is a definitely good point, because somebody else told me about this whole situation. Like you said, you have different opinions, different mindset, which is totally okay. But in the end of the day, it counts, or it just only counts if you're an asshole or not an asshole. To other people, to myself, to your family, then that is not a base to be in a relationship or something like that. I mean, different opinions, it's what, like I said, it's a part of our social life in the end of the day.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. Why do people think everything? We've been taught we should be all, you know, what's the word I'm looking for now? We've been taught that we should all be in a golden world where we all agree, where everything is black and white, bad and evil. You know what? The best people in history, some of the biggest heroes, have done some really bad shit. And still, where's the good, where's the bad? And it's the only way to judge it is like, if you have somebody you disagree, okay, you have a really bad disagreement with that person about that. but it has that many good qualities. So should that destroy that? I mean, I think people have become pussies. They can't handle people being of a different opinion. Everybody has to agree all the time.
For instance,
everybody's entitled to my opinion, by the way.
Only. What I learned from our first interview, that's no bullshit. What I'm telling is that you said, how can you judge also people from, I don't know, from the First World War, from what they did? Because now with our life, our access to knowledge, it's easy to judge them. And that's something of the mission statement, which I got in the back of my mind, and see also discussions different, or I stay away from discussions where I see, okay, this person is not on my kind of level. I can also say what I want. We always disagree. It doesn't make sense. It's like, believe what you want, be an asshole. I don't want that. And however, your new record, I want to talk about that. What I found interesting is that you released another album about the First World War. And the simple question is, why do you do this and not like going to a different topic like that? Is it like that the First World War, there are so many themes that it's too limited just to release it on one record, or what was for you the reason to
actually
do another one?
We have three reasons for it. One is very simple. We got cut short during the Great War tour. We didn't manage to finish that. And to go to a different era or something, that would mean, okay, we remake the stage set. That can be done. We have the time. God knows that, But then we would be putting the focus on something else. And a lot of people haven't heard a lot of, live, us play Great War stuff live. Second of all is, I remember like 2 songs very clearly that I was so disappointed that we didn't have the right music for, and that was Christmas Truce and Hellfighters. I knew, I said in interviews, those are 2 stories we wanted to do, but we didn't have the music that connected. So the first thing I did for this album was to write the Christmas Truce. So we had that. But the songs we felt, there were a few stories we felt like we left behind. We should have done those, And also, and quite one of the most important reasons, a lot of our fans, and possibly some of you watching this, sent us mails, talked to us after concerts, gave us books, and every nation has its own history.
True.
And, it's easy for us to find out about, well, for us in this case, Scandinavian history, especially Sweden, Norway, Denmark, similar language, and English, because we studied English in school. And we get fed English and American films. Australian also to some extent. And Irish, of course. But that is our sort of spectrum. And then coming into that with mails from fans, movies sent to us from fans, conversations. We had so many stories where we went, wow, how did we miss this? So all those 3, I can't say anyone was more important than the others, but those are the 3 main factors, absolutely, for us to choose, like, you know what, let's do another one. We can do the biggest fucking World War I thing on stage we've ever done now,
It's interesting that you named Christmas Truce at one point, because when I listened to the last record, I was also like, something is missing, but I don't get it. Then I was watching a documentary about the First World War and was like, yeah, sure, if you name the First World War, it's just my opinion, but there are specific topics which are not important, but which you are connecting to. And this one, the Christmas Truce, is one of them, And I remember the first time in school when I heard that in a history lesson, like there are 2 sides, and they're doing some kind of pause, celebrating Christmas, playing soccer, doing music, have a regular conversation, and after a couple of hours they're fighting each other and going on. And I was like, wow, for just a couple of minutes there was some kind of peace, and then they are going back and fighting again to each other. And
that's also, it's so obvious because it's there. I think in a case with the Christmas Truce, we've all heard this story when we were kids. And we remember that, but not everybody remember it was the Christmas of 1914. People like, that happened, but people don't necessarily know when it happened or where it happened. Same thing with, on the last album, we almost missed him, the Red Baron, because it's so obvious. It's a legend.
Sure.
But who remembers where he was fighting Eastern Front, Western Front, you know, those details. So I mean, for anyone interested in history, yes. But I mean, I promise you, there are more people who... Have you heard of the Red Baron? Yes. And who was he? In which war was he fighting in?
Yeah.
I think you would have a significant percent who couldn't answer that, you know.
But my question is, do you remember the first time when you ever heard of that story? Like also in school, or I don't know, from your family, that this thing happened?
It could have been in school, I guess, but I don't have a special memory of it, actually. I don't remember. The thing is, I don't want to sound arrogant at all, but I found as I am past 40 now, I'm 41, and I've forgotten so much history, you know. The more I read, I'm still as passionate about it, and I love it, and discovering new things. But as soon as I'm discovering it, I've written a song about it, and I keep on reading about it for a while, and then it's like, on to the next thing. It's a natural thing for me to move on to the next thing. Sort of being in love with the discovery phase, discovering things. I'm not the first one discovering them, but I'm discovering for me, you know. And being there, and then moving on to the next song, I never get to sort of dive into it enough. So I forget a lot, actually. Well, to be fair, I've never been an expert. I've always been a happy amateur. And I do like to think I know more about history than the average person you find on the street. But compared to the people who are specializing in an era or history, I know nothing. Man, I know nothing. And history is such a huge subject these days. If you want to talk about history, I've met several people who have forgotten more than I know about World War I, and they still know 10 times more than I know. But they maybe had known almost nothing about ancient Greek. You know, and the conflicts there. Well, they're gonna know more than the average person, but everybody chooses to specialize.
So yeah, besides your new record, in December you released a tabletop game. A very interesting one. I played it actually on a ferry in Germany, a tabletop ferry, one of the biggest. And maybe you want to talk a little bit about that, because what I like is combining history, the themes of your songs, obviously, time traveling, so much, I don't know, and you can play it against the game, against other people. And I want to know, do you have maybe plans for this, for your own festival, to, don't know, to do it in a tournament or something like that?
We wanted to do that, actually, in the future. And it should be said that we were actually involved with the game. Me, not so much. I was playing the first prototypes and came with suggestions in the initial stage. And then pretty much we went into album production. So that's my time to do other things. But Per was involved in every step of the way. And not saying he designed the game. But it's actually a lot of time spent from the band's side on the game. I actually haven't seen the finished product yet. Only the prototypes, so I'm still waiting for that. I'm hoping Per will bring one to Sweden for Christmas. So I'm really looking forward to it, because it was already in the prototype stage when I saw it, which is a long time ago now. This was even before, it's a year, more than a year ago, even more.
That's wrong,
yeah, talking about forgetting things. No, but it's, I remember I was sort of, at first, I mean, I played a lot of board games. I was a little bit overwhelmed, like, oh, this is a lot at the same time. But if you have played board games before, more advanced than Ludo, I guess, you're going to get into it pretty quick. And we asked for also, and I don't know how they turned out, but there is supposed to be, and we asked for it specifically, simplified rules so you can play with the family without it being shit, you know. It has to make sense and be fun to play. But I really enjoyed it, and it's weird because it reminds me of so many things, but nothing exactly the same, I think. There's that card aspect, which reminds me...
To level up the cards.
Yeah, and also how they face each other. It's a mix of, I guess, Doom Trooper and Magic the Gathering that I played. But not at all like that, but there's an element of that. Then it's, changing of the eras, I also thought is a nice touch, and how you can have units from these different eras having different, yeah.
What I like, you can steal things from your opponent.
Yeah.
I really like when you got...
oh, you got that one. I'm gonna... That makes for a good divorce, you know.
Definitely. And yeah, I can agree. It's simple. Of course, you have to read the rules, have to play it once or twice, but then you are into it. And yeah, but when you will come on tour, do you plan also for your fans to play it on, not on shows, but you have some kind of side booth where fans can maybe like meet and greet the band and play?
We have discussed that and we wanted to do it. However, when we go on tour, we didn't know under what circumstances we're going on tour with the ongoing pandemic and stuff.
Okay.
So it could be, you know, technically is it going to be worse than getting into a crowd? I mean, everybody's chosen to come to a concert, you know. Nobody's forced there at gunpoint, I hope. But so actually at this moment, no, we don't know. We've discussed several plans, but I actually can't give you an answer simply because we don't really know ourselves at this point. One idea we had was to do something at the festival at Falun, where we have the Sabaton open air. We have access to the site over several days and stuff like that. It could be cool to do a longer tournament and maybe broadcast that between bands on a big screen in the bar or something like that.
Oh, great.
So something would be fun to do because I really thought it, yeah, let's just say I haven't played the actual full production game, I can't say, but what I saw from the pre-production was really, really impressive. So.
We played that on that fair. I did also a video. It's on our YouTube channel. I will link you this right here somewhere.
I'm gonna watch that.
Please pre-order it. It's pretty good. I ordered it, and I think I will get it during the next couple of days, I'd hope. Yeah. And Joakim, I see also our time is running out. Thank you very much for the time for the interview. For you guys, very important. I will switch now in German. Am 4. März kommt das neue Album raus. The War to End All Wars kommt bei Nuklearblast raus. Habe ich euch unten alles verlinkt. In dem Sinne, gehabt euch wohl. Bis dahin und bye. Ciao, ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Moshpit Passion, you know, for the passion of music.